Hello everybody and welcome back to our Farming Simulator 25 map guide. Today we're going to be taking a look at Memphis. But before that, this video is brought to you by Raznak and Gizmo UK. Thank you for being farm barons. So the Memphis map can be found at the farmingsimulator.com website or the in-game downloadable content menu, and as of the 1.0 release, this map is available for all platforms. Now, this map does have 4 required mods. If we factor in the map size and the 4 required mods, we're looking at a total download size of 443 megabytes. Those required mods are the Water Pump Pack, Lizard Gravity Wagon, American Barn, and the Garage with Tool Table. Now let me read you some of the description. Returning from Farming Simulator 22 with countless revisions beyond just game conversion, welcome to Memphis, New York. Memphis is a rural community in central New York with hot summers, wet springs, harsh winters, and despite those relative extremes, life finds a way. In Memphis, you will choose to begin your farming career as a new farmer. You'll have all the necessary equipment and a few fields to produce wheat, with a small chicken coop tucked in a forest with some additional income. In the event that your vehicles need repair or you desire to purchase new ones, there is a shop located just down the road. If you choose to expand your farm and find yourself needing water for animals, there is a spring located on Whiskey Hollow Road, which is the road that leads you into the forest. When it comes time to sell, there are numerous productions and sell points scattered around the map, and a warehouse should you choose to undertake a construction project. And to that end, there is a rebuildable barn located on Farmland ID 55. This map also includes a sawmill located on the aforementioned Whiskey Hollow Road, accessible by a short, wide trail off the main road. If you choose to invest in dairy farming, be advised that in addition to total mixed rations, silage also keeps your cows at 100%. Scattered around the map are 22 fields, some requiring access roads, but the 4.5 miles of rural roads to drive down and even more roads off-road, then you're easily going to be able to reach every corner of the map. The off-road trails allow you to explore the map to its fullest extent, whether for recreation or logging. Compared to the Farming Simulator 22 version, many properties are more immersive, with usable garages, farmhouses, and even numerous small animal pens scattered around the map to be purchased with the respective farmland. Farmland ID 44 is a large area with some pre-placed buildings, but all of those can be deleted or morphed into the area for a large farm of your choosing. Farmland ID 32 is also left intentionally blank to allow the player to create some home specifically to their liking. Now, with all that said, let's jump back over here to the map and check out the PDA. We can see we have some very interesting field shapes, and the map is predominantly occupied with a big field, Farmland ID 54, which is going to be the biggest field on the map at 79.54 acres. We also have another large field right below it, field 55. You may notice Farmland ID 1 is here seemingly in Farmland ID 54 as well. Well, this is going to be the main road network, and we can buy that for a total of $0, which of course would then allow us to terraform right up to the road should we wish to do landscaping or other things. Now, with respect to Farmland ID owned at the start, we start out by owning Farmland ID 10. That is going to be the main starting farm. We also have access to Farmland ID 56. We do have a small shed there with lots of our starting equipment. We also own Farmland ID 9, which includes that chicken coop, Farmland ID 4, as well as Farmland ID 15, where we're going to find a couple silos in order for our storage of crops. Now, there's lots of other things of interest on this map. The aforementioned in the description, Farmland ID 44, is going to hold a massive amount of greenhouses. In fact, this map has 40 to 41 productions pre-placed, and the vast majority of those are the greenhouses here at Farmland ID 44. We can buy that for $100,000. Let's jump back here to the main starting area. Should we choose to not own the starting farm at the start, all of these buildings are going to exist in that particular start mode, but we do not start out with any starting machinery in that start mode. So if you want to buy just the land that you want, and you don't want to start out with any machinery, then you may wish to not own the starting farm. As far as other areas on this map, Farmland ID 37, which is going to be up here, is also going to include chicken and sheep. We also have at Farmland ID 36, we have a grain mill that we can purchase if we own Farmland ID 36. We already mentioned Farmland ID 44 has lots of greenhouses. Farmland ID 82 is going to have pigs. Farmland ID 57, right across the street from our starting location, is going to have sheep and chickens. Farmland ID 8 and 53 is going to include horses. So here you have Farmland ID 8, and then we have Farmland ID 53 right up the road. Again, that's going to have some horses. We have a home area, Farmland ID 32. That is where we're going to be able to kind of build out a home should we wish to do so. That's going to be located up here to the north. We also have a buildable barn, as I mentioned, at Farmland ID 55. That is going to be in this area. And we'll show that area off here in a little bit with respect to rebuilding that. And then we do have our sawmill scattered down here in the woods. We have a warehouse way up here to the north. And also up here we do have a small carpentry and tailor shop production as well. Overall, we can pretty much buy the entirety of the map. And we do have a nice mix of forestry and agriculture here on Memphis. Now this map is making use of the generic soil mod that is a part of the precision farming mod. I do find it rather interesting that only a portion of the fields are being exposed by this soil map when I do choose to expose the entirety of the soil map. We've seen that across on a couple other maps as of late. I'm not really sure if it's an issue with how these fields are defined or if something else might be going on. But we do have the ability here to see at a minimum what field 9 looks like and field 4, which are two of our starting fields, and then some of the fields around it. With respect to crops, we have all the standard crops available to us in Farm Sim 25 available on this map. In addition to that, we are making use of the standard crop calendar. Every animal pen on this map does have animals included at the start. We only start out by owning the one chicken coop at the main farm, but we do have 7 chickens available to us, or I guess I should say 6 chickens, including the rooster, available to us here at that particular chicken coop. We do have contracts available on this map, and as I mentioned, there's a total of 40 to 41. I kind of lost count. Productions. Most of those are going to be those greenhouses. We do have the buyable grain mill that I mentioned. We do have to own the land in order to use that. But we also have a bakery, carpentry, oil mill, preserved food factory, sawmill, spinnery, tailor shop, and then we have the smaller tailor shop that we also mentioned. We do not own any productions at the start. I counted up a total of 6 different sell points scattered around the map. We do own all of our starting machinery should we choose to own the farm at the start. None of it is leased. And with respect to collectibles, this map does not have any. If we take a look at our garage, you'll see that we start up owning the AGCO 8810 medium tractor, as well as the John Deere 3650. We have the International Transtar 2 semi and the Skoda Kodiaq. We have the International Series 200 pickup truck and the Kubota RTV X1140WH side-by-side. We have the New Holland L318 skid steer, and for that skid steer, we have a pallet fork and a high dump bucket. For our semi, we have the Load King Distinction Triple Hopper Semi Grain Trailer, and then we have the Lizard Gravity Wagon. This is one of those required mods. We have the Agrimoz POV 5XL Plow, as well as the Trifler TGA 560 Cultivator. We have the Great Plains Solid Stand 1500 Seeder. We have the Hardy Mega 1200L front tank and rear sprayer. That's going to be for liquid herbicide and fertilizer. We have the Massey Ferguson 8570 Harvester, the 8570 Grain Header, and the 8570 Header Trailer. Then we wrap it all up with the Stima Truus trailer that, of course, we can connect hopefully to our Skoda or our pickup truck. With respect to mods and DLCs included with the map, there are none, but again, we do have that required mod in the Lizard Gravity Wagon that we do have available here in the shop. With respect to our starting location, we start here at our farmhouse, and within the farmhouse, that's where we're going to find our Skoda and our side-by-side. Lovely New York license plates. Oh no, not our side-by-side, our pickup truck. Lovely New York license plates. Now, I was able to sell the garage, but I couldn't sell the farmhouse. And that's going to be a trend that we're going to find on a lot of these farmlands, is that while we can sell some of the things, we're not going to be able to sell the majority or all of the things on the map. Let's run across the street to the small barn. This is where we're going to find some of our starting machinery. I mentioned the sheep and the chicken coop right next to the starting farm. This again is not owned at the start, but we could buy this land, and if we did, then we'd have access to the goats, sheep, and chickens. Now, I assume with this trailer down here, we're going to be able to get it out. That might be your best bet to get it out of here. Let's make our way down the street, because that's where our silos are going to be located. In fact, we can kind of see them over there. While we're making our way down here, let's talk about map performance on lower end systems. On my test system, which is using AMD integrated graphics, so pretty much anything with a dedicated graphics card would have better performance than that particular system. I was seeing frame rates in the upper 20s to low 30s. Now, factoring in our custom medium settings, which does include FSR frame gen, then we were seeing anywhere between upper 50s to low 60 FPS to our eyes. Now, that doesn't sound too terrible bad, but I did have some noticeable stuttering as a result. So I would have to say that if you are running a lower powered system, you may need to check your system settings because performance may be affected slightly. Here we have a multi-fruit grain silo with our dump and fill point. And then here we have a hayloft. So we have our output pipe, and then we have our input area. And we're going to find more of our machinery over here in this area. We make our way down the road here real fast. I think we're going to find our gravity wagon. And it's full of rocks. Might be a nice little surprise. And then if we go this way, we're going to come across our chicken coop, which is tucked back here in the woods. So we have our feed point, and we have a total of 20 chickens in here. And then we have our egg spawn point. And that is pretty much the main starting area. I'm going to quickly buy some of these farmlands so we can go ahead and check out the other animal pens that are scattered around the map, as well as Farmland ID 44, which again is going to have all of those greenhouses. First, let's take a look here at our sheep and goats. So we have our food trough, we have our wool and milk point. We do have 7 goats in here currently. We're going to be able to put a total of 26 sheep or goats in this coop. Then we have our chickens. We have 7 chickens in here. So we have our eggs. We have our chicken delivery point. And then we have our food point. Sorry, we have 15 chickens in here. So here we have our barn. We have the other area, Farmland ID 57, which we can buy. We have our farmhouse. Right down the street, we have our barns. Then we have big field 9 here and field 4 here. And those are owned at the start. We have horses just down the road from our starting point. And again, if we buy this area, we'll have access to these horses. So we have a water trough, we have a bale trigger, we have a food trigger, and then we have our horse drop-off point. For a total of 16 horses, and we have 5 already in the pen. Right beside our horses, we do have our vehicle shop. So let's go ahead and pick something up. We'll see where those machinery spawn. Not the biggest area, quite frankly, for the machinery to spawn, especially given the size of some of these fields on this map. So if you do go to buy a bunch of things, do note you probably will have to clear the area after you buy a few of those items. And then with respect to kind of getting out of the yard here, not too terribly narrow between these sheds. We do have our dealer trigger here as well. And in general, things are kind of pulled off the road a little bit. So it shouldn't be too hard in order to kind of get up and down the map. Just south of the vehicle dealer, I did want to point out we do have a farmhouse here at Farmland ID 62 that we can purchase. Nice little pond here in back. And then below that we have our animal dealer. So we have our sell point for bales. We have our animal dealer buy point. We have our buy point for manure and for slurry. Across the street, we have access to another farmhouse here at Farmland ID 6. We can see we have the access lane here over to our farmer's market, one of our sell points. There's the main road. And we could follow this trail, or these trails through the woods. We're not going to Grandma's house, but where we are going is eventually to the sawmill. Now you may find Grandma's house hidden back here in the woods. Who knows? So we have our sawmill, we have our pallet point, we have our interactive icon, we have our dump point, and our wood sell point. Let's make our way back over to the main road. There's going to be a water trigger back here in the woods also. So now that we're back here to the main road, let's go south a little bit. Here we have our pigs. Farmland ID 82. So if we choose to buy this land, we'll have access to these. We have our slurry point. We have our food. And we already have 123 pigs in this coop with a total of 208 available. Got a nice usable shed here as well. And a serviceable farmhouse with sleep triggers and wardrobe triggers. Now I'm going to come back to basically the junction of the road and then continue up this run. Again, we have our farmhouse, we have our barns with our hayloft and our silo. Over here, Farmland ID 19 or 20, we do have another farmhouse that we can make use of. Continuing up the road, and on our right, we're going to have, once again, a farmhouse, and then we have some horses. Six of 16. With our food over here on the right. Now these fields are fairly steep. They are on a hillside. These fields over here kind of to the northwest. So that is something to be aware of if you are farming these. You want to have plenty of horsepower to navigate because, well, the slope on these is a bit extreme. Some nice little areas hidden back here in the forest. Definitely is a map that if you do nothing else, you could just kind of explore either on horseback, on the motorbike, or on your side-by-side. Here in the extreme northwest corner, we do have our spinnery production located right here. Here we have that buildable plot. Our grain mill. If we buy this land, we'll have access to the grain mill located right here. Here we have more sheep and goats. And a big area. Like this could be great to build out your own farm. Farmland ID 37. So you have your milk, your wool, we have our food, we have our chicken coop. So we have a total of 32 sheep in the barn with a capacity of 32. And we have 20 chickens with a capacity of 20 also here in the coop. We have our food, we have our delivery point, and then we have our egg point. Sneaky around the back in order to get to those sheep. Now we continue to make our way across the northern part of the map. We're going to come to our tailor, our large tailor shop. We kind of missed our bakery, which is right across the street from the sheep and goats. And then the large area over here, Farmland ID 44. Like I said, there's lots of greenhouses. Lots of greenhouses. So in addition to those greenhouses, we do have bale and pallet storage. Got a couple sheds. For storing of machinery and things. We do have a diesel point. And then our collection of greenhouses. So we have lots of glass greenhouses over here. We have some tarp hoop greenhouses. More glass greenhouses. More tarped hooped greenhouses. Then we have some mushroom greenhouses. And if we take a look at our productions now with respect to our owned, well, since we did buy all the land, we have access to that grain mill. And then we have access to, again, all of these various greenhouses. And if we come into build mode, you'll see that we do have the ability to sell these. So if we want to clear out these greenhouses in order to basically make use of this area in some other way, we would have access. This is another possible nice area here where you could build out a farm. Continuing to make our way across the northern part of the map. I do like Farmland ID 71 as well. We have kind of a house. We've got a couple garages here. And then a decent amount of land backed up to the trees where we could build out some more farm. And then buried within those trees, we do have some nice houses, some clearings for some yards. Does remind me a lot of kind of rural East Coast. We have our big warehouse store back here. And we do have a farmer's market kiosk sell point. We have a small tailor and a small carpentry production. And then, of course, the warehouse is not only going to be a spot where we could sell goods, but we could also buy things in order to produce buildings and such. So there we have our sell point, and we had our buy trigger over here at the side door. Across the street from that, we're going to find our oil mill, as well as our preserved food factory and our stone crusher. And I have to say, that is pretty much what we've got going on here on Memphis. The only other thing I really want to show you is down here at Farmland ID 55. Right across the street from the pigs is that ruined barn. So here we have our destroyed barn, and we have a trigger. So if we come over here and we hit R to start repairing, well, the destroyed barn's now been cleared away, and we have the ability now to construct a small wooden shed. That small wooden shed is going to require 2,000 units of wooden beams, 5,000 units of long planks, 1,000 units of planks, and 2,000 units of cement. And once we have that built out, we're going to have a building that's going to look where is it? Hold on. It's been so long. It's going to look just like this. So the small shed. So that is going to be basically placed here in some fashion. And that is then going to conclude our map guide of Memphis. I'd love to know your all's thoughts down in the comments below with respect to this map. Of course, this map first came out in Farm Sim 22. It wasn't too long ago. Actually, this map came out in Farm Sim 22 because it came out fairly late in the run of the game. And it is back fairly early in the run for Farm Sim 25. I think there's been some really nice improvements to bring this map forward to FS25, not just a straight convert. Let me again know your thoughts down in the comments below on the conversion. Did you play the FS22 version, and are you going to give the FS25 version a go as well? Until next time, happy farming.